We know the opioid abuse is a huge problem across the Cape Fear. And while there are task forces, quick response teams, health organizations, and other various efforts that are being made to combat the epidemic, another large issue is actually getting into rehab. In a WWAY investigation, Kirsten Gutierrez digs deeper to break down the challenges those seeking help are facing. Kirsten, why is it so hard to get clean?
Amanda, there are numerous rules and restrictions that keep people who want and need help from getting it, ranging from mental health issues to a criminal record. A slight hiccup might not make you eligible for treatment, not to mention a shortage of beds, lack of transportation to rehab facilities, and knowledge of what else is out there.
And I remember like begging the nurse, like in tears, like saying, please, it's Friday night, like you can't do this to me. I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to stay sober.
It took recovering addict Michael Page 3 tries to finally get the help he was seeking. The first challenge, health insurance, something Page didn't have, which left him with state-funded options like the Harbor.
There's too much of a need.
A rehab facility with a limited number of beds in the midst of an epidemic, which is the second challenge.
Also, what we see is massively long waiting lists for the ones that are free or severely discounted. And so some people are waiting 6 months to get in there. That's 6 months you're trying to keep your kid alive until that place has a bed.
Another challenge Robert Childs with the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition says is whether you qualify.
So there's all these barriers being thrown at folks, and they want to get care, but they can't because of a criminal record, because of a mental health diagnosis, because they don't have health care. And then we as a society are screaming at them to get care, and they're disqualified from all our care services. So that is a major problem.
A problem Page faced over several months.
That window, I'd say you've got at maximum like 72 hours from when somebody says, I want to get help, where you need to jump on it and get them help. Otherwise, they fall back into the grips of that addiction.
Which is exactly what Page did.
From the first time to when I actually got into the Harbor and got detox, I got 4 felonies, so I was committing crimes. I was hurting the community.
Page also overdosed and was revived by naloxone several times. It took him nearly 9 months to get into rehab.
It takes a lot for somebody to reach out and ask for help.
When they do and don't get the help they seek,
I held up my end of the deal and did what I was asked to do, and I just wanted to give up.
Leaving those with the feeling of rejection, and like Page, back to addiction.
And since they can't get into drug treatment, they continue their drug use, potentially overdose, potentially hurt people they love, potentially commit crimes because they have no other option. And that's where we as a society have failed a lot of our civilians, and to me, that is heartbreaking.
Page says another challenge in the system of getting and remaining clean is the lack of knowledge about resources available in the community.
It took several times to get in, and then while I was there, again, the connection with the next piece wasn't really in place, and that's an important component because, yeah, you detox somebody, but then what?
Follow-up care, Page says, may have helped him get clean earlier.
Why can't someone then follow up with them? And say, hey, are you familiar with the fact that there's some support groups in your community that you could go to tonight or tomorrow? Here's another type of resource that you can utilize until this bed opens up, versus just call back tomorrow between 8 and 8:30. Thank you, click.
Aside from the lack of health insurance, beds, transportation to and from the limited rehab centers in the area, and eligibility requirements to even get help, there's also a lack of centers for women. Another problem Page says needs to be addressed.
People, again, they will say things like, well, women are more resourceful. They don't tend to seek help. They don't ask for treatment. And I feel like that's unjust and incorrect.
While community members, leaders, and organizations are coming together to fight the growing epidemic, Page says getting people the help they need is the first step in making a real difference.
Today I pay taxes. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a good citizen. I do a lot of outreach work. You never know.
To emphasize how serious of a problem the opioid epidemic is, just yesterday, Judge Ola Lewis hand-delivered a letter to Governor Cooper asking him to declare a public health emergency, which would bring more awareness to the community. Trillium Health Resources is also planning to open a new rehab facility in Wilmington called The Healing Place with more than 100 beds. But again, that's just for men. Amanda?